Hi, welcome to Jordan's Backyard Chickens. My name is Jordan Wright, and I've been receiving several great questions across social media and offline, helping people more, become more sustainable, raising chickens in their backyard. Knowing what is in your food is very important, as well as knowing how the animals are treated and making certain that they are treated well. Currently, I am getting a lot of great questions on people getting into chickens and using day-old chicks as the method on getting into chickens as opposed to buying already laying chickens. So I wanted to take and dedicate this live video to helping those people out. So afterwards, we're going to talk about the answer to yesterday's YouTube poll question, and then the next long form video you can expect on my channel. Thank you to everyone who has already submitted questions. These are my opinions after helping several different families get into raising chickens for enjoyment and also to feed their family. If your opinions differ from mine, that is perfectly okay. In fact, I'd love you to put them down in the comments below so we can have a discussion. I know for a lot of you, you'll be watching this after the live ends, and I'll be sure to watch the comments and interact with you. Okay, let's get started. I have a new handy dandy pop-up. So, I am going to be getting day-old chicks next month. What supplies do I need? So first of all, that's amazing. Day-old chicks will give you the opportunity to watch the animal grow from the time that you get them, not even feathered in, they'll fit in the palm of your hand, all the way up to 7-pound broiler chickens for if they're broiler chickens in 7 weeks. Or most chickens are going to probably grow to be 3 to 7 pounds if you're dealing with large fowl. And they can really grow up on. So that's awesome that you are getting day-old chickens. What we need to make certain that we have right now for our chickens is one, a brooder box. This is going to be the house that they're living in at this point in time. And when we're getting a brooder box, or maybe we're making it out of cardboard, because these brooder boxes can be a metal feed trough like you would see at a feed store. They can be a cardboard box, an appliance box. They could be a Rubbermaid tote, or you could even, like we've done, make wooden boxes that you use as brooder boxes. Whatever you're using, we need to make certain that the corners are rounded so our chicks cannot get pushed into the corners and suffocated by other chicks. So that would probably be the first thing that I would go for. The second thing is we need something to contain the water. And if you go out to a feed store or you order it off of online, you can get most of the time either a plastic quart water or a metal quart water. And if you get the metal ones, you need to put a mason jar on top of that. That can be your feeder and also your water. I personally really have only had the plastic ones. I like that they're a lot of times, because especially right now with mason jars, cheaper than what a mason jar would be. And I think that they're easier to clean out personally. That's why I use plastic chick feeders or waters. But you need to find a chick feeder and a water, and you need to get bedding. So I like pine shavings for my bedding. Other people in the comments might use something else, and that's perfectly fine. It just needs to be so that it doesn't go and doesn't get slick on the bottom of our brooder box, and allow, as our chickens get heavier, them to get splayed legs, which basically means that their bodies are growing sometimes faster than what their legs can keep up with. And so if the chicken gets too heavy, the legs will kind of start splaying out, And once a chicken gets splayed legs, it's going to be very hard for us to fix that. And the splayed legs can be caused by genetics, but it can also be caused by your bedding if it's too slick and them falling and them not getting the support that they need. And so we've got our brooder box, we've got our chicken feeders and waters, and we've got our bedding. We of course need water, but we also need chick feed. Most of us are going to find a chick feed that for laying chickens or broilers that's going to be between a 20 and a 23% protein. I personally feed between a 22 and a 23% protein. But as long as you would have between a 20 and a 23% protein, it'd probably work for your egg layers. And you really need to get up around that 21 to 23% protein for your broilers if you're going to raise them for the table. If you're going to raise them for fairs, a little bit different, but that's a whole different discussion and a whole different video. So I hope that I was able to help you. Make certain that you have the entire environment set up. We could use a thermometer, especially, I guess I haven't used a thermometer in a while, but if you were worried about making certain that the temperatures were correct, you could use a thermometer to monitor the temperatures as well. So I appreciate the question. And question number 2, what are some ways that I can tell if the chicks are too warm or too cold? And so this is the reason why I personally have not used a thermometer in a while. Because once you discover the chickens don't have to be at exactly 95 degrees. At 94 degrees or 96 degrees is going to be perfectly fine for the chickens. You can kind of just watch the chickens in the brooder box and how they interact with the brooder box. So we need a heat source. We're either going to use, which I guess as well, sorry, in question number 1, we need a heat source too, of course. But we need a heat source. And that heat source, if the way that we're going to change the temperature on many of our heat sources, whether it be the brooder lamps or we get a chicken heater, like what you would find the platforms at some of the feed stores or on Amazon, you can get those and you can raise the level up and down so that as it gets further away from the chickens, it cools down, and as you drop it closer to the chickens into the brooder box, it would warm it up. But if it gets too hot, the chickens will really start to move away from that heat source. And if you're using a brooder lamp, the nice thing about it is that it creates a circle. The chickens, you will notice, will kind of line up and back themselves up and kind of sit there or stand there. And that's the optimal temperature, is right around that outside temperature, right around that outside ring. So if we're going to put a thermometer in there, that's where we need to make certain that that thermometer is. And if we see those chickens backed up to the outside ring, that's how we know that that chicken is at its perfect internal temperature and the environment, that brooder box, is at its perfect temperature. So how would you know if the chickens are too cold? They're going to huddle in a pile most of the time right underneath their heat source because they are feeling heat coming from the heat source. They just don't have enough. And so when they pile on top of each other, they can kind of build internal temperature to stay warm. And so we cannot have them piling on top of each other to stay warm because that could suffocate our chickens and is just not good for them to be raised like that. And we cannot have them pushed away from the heat sources trying to get out of the brooder box because it's too hot. Because if we haven't rounded the corners, then they can get stuck in the corners. And as they're piling into the corners, they can kill each other. So I hope that answered your question, because it's really neat once you see the chickens interacting with their heat source. It's really neat to be able to watch the chickens tell you if they're too cold or if they're too warm or if they're in the perfect temperature. And also, if they get really loud, sometimes that is also a sign that they are too cold. So question number 3. Why are chick feeders and waters red? And this is a great question. And a funny thought more and more that I got into chickens. Because the reason that the chickens, feeders, and waters are red is that they are attracted to red. And the green plastic bottoms are for turkeys because turkeys are attracted to green. Well, okay, so we know that they're attracted to red, that if they see the red chicken water or chicken feeder, they're going to go to it, and that's how they're going to know where it is. That's the basic premise of it. But a lot of us, then because they're attracted to red, are taught to use a red heat lamp. That way it turns everything in the brooder box red. And the chickens, if one of them gets packed and gets bloody, do not come and attack and kill an individual chicken or a couple of chickens. So it's reds to attract them, but then a lot of us are using red heat lamps or red lights if we're using an infrared heat source that would be like one of those platform heat sources. Then we'd come back in with a secondary light. So we're kind of defeating the purpose, I think. But that's the reason that they're red. And it's pretty interesting to do and to see the different colors and how different animals react to different colors. So I really appreciate each and every one of you that is joining me on my social media journey. Each day I post something different. Let me get this off of here. Each day I post something different, and yesterday's poll question was on Delaware chickens. I gave you 4 different options to choose which one was a Delaware chicken. Thanks to everyone who participated, and the correct answer was option number 3. This is a classic showmanship question that you will find at different fairs and different poultry shows, where especially in the older groups of kids and adults, the judge will go and have the person that he needs to have a tiebreaker or a little bit of a tougher question actually name each different breed that somebody has brought up. So option number 1 was a white Cornish. Option number 2 was a dark brown Leghorn. Of course, option number 3 was a Delaware, and option number 4 is a green jungle fowl. Delaware chickens, originally known as Indian River, are large chickens that lay brown eggs, and they have a friendly temperament and a docile demeanor about them. And while they are very large, they were now a dual-purpose breed, but they were originally designed to be a meat-only breed, and in fact, they still, to this day, produce some traits that are better meat-wise than what our broiler chickens do, but they just take longer to do it. So instead of taking that 7 weeks like a broiler chicken would, you're probably going to be around a 16 to 18 week growth rate to hit that on a Delaware, and you're probably still going to lack a little bit of the size on that, but you would at that point be eating a similar tasting meat as far as the toughness on it. Raise them to full size, and the Delawares are way going to over weigh the broiler chickens. They are a very large breed in real life. So they're one of those large fowl breeds that when they say that they're a large fowl breed, they definitely are a large fowl breed, and they lay a very large brown egg, which is really nice for people that are looking for brown eggs. So I'm having fun seeing what everyone enjoys, and I hope you're having fun with the polls and quizzes as well. If you have a special topic that you think that would be fun to discuss on the channel, I'd love to hear it down in the comments, or you can send me an email at jordansbackyardchickens@gmail.com, and I'd love to discuss it. So, okay. So my next long form video is going to be on a topic that honestly affects each and every one of us who is living and breathing. Through my deep research into this topic, it actually even shocked me, someone who raises chickens and knows the benefits of eggs nutritionally added to your diet, to learn that even if you do not directly eat the eggs, you would have a very difficult time getting away from them in the everyday world. The topic will be, why have eggs become so expensive? And this video will not just be me throwing out and spitting out my one-sided opinions, but I have done a lot of deep research into this topic, and so I have a lot of great facts and numbers that I think will startle you to know actually how much things cost, and then we will together come to a decision on why the eggs are so expensive. So let me know what you think of this video's opening. What happened? How did these go from being a staple in most American households to now? How did these go from being a staple in most American diets and the cheapest protein source to now becoming unaffordable for many households? Well, I really appreciate you watching my live stream. If you are on Facebook and looking for me on YouTube, my channel name is Jordan's Backyard Chickens. Have a great one. Bye.